Welcome to Mountain High Adventures YouTube channel for adults, where we talk about all things mountains, cannabis, and adventure running. Welcome back, adventurers. We're out here in Gateway Canyon, just below, kind of behind Craft Mountain here in the Calico Basin area, Red Rock Canyon, just outside of Las Vegas, Nevada. We're getting some trail running miles in on some technical terrain today. In this video, I'm gonna give you 10 tips to help you run better on technical terrain. Well, what is technical terrain, you might ask? We all love our buttery, single track, flowy trails, nice and smooth, where you can put in miles all day. But sometimes the trail takes some twists and turns. Sometimes there's some obstacles in the way, some rocks, boulders, sand, other types of things that can get in your way and slow you down. Today we're gonna talk about how to get through that stuff quickly, efficiently, and safely. So let's say I'm running up through this wash and it's a little sandy and loose, and what do you know, but I come to a section that's a small boulder field, just like this. First thing I'm gonna do is slow down. Until you become super experienced and comfortable on uneven terrain, when you come to a small boulder field or an area that's uneven, first thing to do is just slow down. Slowing down will allow you to see any changes in the terrain and give you the time to make any adjustments you need to. Tip number 2, when you encounter some rugged terrain, is shorten your stride length. You don't want to be taking big, long, stridey steps when you're on uneven terrain. You want to take short, choppy steps. So shorten your stride length a little bit when you encounter some rugged terrain. Shortening your stride may cause you to take quicker steps, but that's okay, because that's tip number 3, is increase your cadence. You want to take faster steps, have a little bit better turnover on rugged terrain to keep your feet moving underneath you so they don't get caught up. Tip number 4 is to decrease your contact time with the ground, which is kind of gonna naturally happen when you pick up your cadence and you shorten your stride. But you can even think about it intentionally, sort of like you're running over hot coals. You never want your foot to be in contact with the ground for too long. The idea is to never really have your full body weight coming down on any one footstep for any significant period of time. You want to be turning over quickly, especially if it's sand. You don't want your foot to sink in all the way. You just want to have quick contact. Also, if your foot is on uneven terrain or a rock and it's gonna possibly slip, the shorter time that you have contact with the rock is the less time that it's gonna have time to slip off of it. So keep that turnover quick, short strides, increase your cadence, and decrease your contact time with the ground. Think fast little tick, 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 tick steps. Tip number 5 is find your line. As you approach a technical stretch of trail, try to get a look ahead of time and find the path of least resistance through the rugged terrain and the obstacles, and then follow that line as you run through it. You may have to change your line as the terrain changes and you run through it, but the idea is to sort of have a plan of which way to go. Tip number 6 is more for safety, but only step on level surfaces. So as you're running, if you're finding rocks that are tilted or slanted, or there's a side of the trail that's sort of banked, try not to step on those uneven, unlevel surfaces. Inevitably, you kink an ankle or you tweak your calf muscles or something like that when you're stepping on uneven terrain. So tip number 6, try to always land on flat surfaces with your foot strike. If you like outdoor adventure videos about trail running, ultra running, and climbing mountains, smash that red subscribe button. Join Mountain High Adventures on YouTube. Give me a like or a thumbs up and shoot me a comment down below. Also, you can turn on the notification bell and get notified whenever I upload new videos to the channel. Tip number 7 is pick up your toes while you're running. You want to avoid clipping a toe on a rock, so what helps is thinking of high knees. Picking up your knees while you're running. I like to think of those calisthenics that football players do when they have all the tires set up in a row and they have to like run down the line and put their feet in each tire. But they do it in obstacle course racing as well. So think high knees, pick up those toes to avoid any stub toes, clipping of the feet which will cause disaster. To get yourself into the habit of picking up your toes, high knees, you can put the palms of your hands at knee height when you run through a technical section and force yourself to bring your knees up and hit the palms of your hands. Check this out. Okay, that felt kind of silly, but the idea is to exaggerate it and get yourself into the habit of picking your feet up. Tip number 8, I always have a personal challenge with, and that is avoiding obstacles on the trail or the course. So I have this tendency when I see a rock sticking out or some big protrusion to want to step on it or jump on it or, you know, go over it some way or the other. But if you're running, you're trying to keep a steady pace, you actually want to avoid those types of obstacles and step around them or over them. Again, it's sort of like the stepping on a level surface tip. You just don't want to interrupt your stride that much by stepping on a funky shaped thing. It could cause injury, trip you up, or inevitably your foot coordination is slightly off and you twist an ankle or something even worse. Again, the little kid in me just wants to step off of that rock and see how far I can jump, or use one as a step up to another or something like that. You wind up twisting an ankle, or you stride out and stretch a quad or something when you're doing those things. So avoid those funky shaped objects on the trail. Go around them. As you start to build a little confidence on rugged terrain, you can start to use a little bit of momentum to your advantage. So that's gonna be tip number 9, use momentum to help you get through those rugged sections. This is where I try to find a certain rhythm, see if I can find a flow state, moving through the obstacles, the rocks, the trail, putting it all together. I almost feel as though I'm dancing over the rocks. So after you've put all this time and effort into learning how to run faster on technical terrain, you searched out videos, taken time on your own runs to tune in to more technical things and how to move quickly over them. When you bring it all together, that's gonna bring us to tip number 10, and that is trust your feet. Trusting your feet while you're running through that rugged terrain is gonna help you move more quickly, more efficiently. It's when we start to hesitate and second guess ourselves where our feet trip up and get caught up on rocks. So have confidence, believe in yourself, trust your feet. You can do it. You can jam on those rugged talus fields, rugged rocky trails, and still have fun and keep your pace up. Okay, time for a recap of Mountain High Adventures top 10 tips for running on technical terrain. Tip number 1 is slow down. Tip number 2 is shorten your stride length. Tip number 3 is take quicker steps, increase your cadence. Tip number 4 is decrease your ground contact time. Remember, that's like running through the charcoal pit. Tip number 5, find your line through the obstacles. Tip number 6, only step on level surfaces if you can. Try not to step on those uneven rocks and things. You want to avoid twisting ankles. Tip number 7, pick up your toes, high knees. Tip number 8, avoid odd shaped obstacles and rocks. Tip number 9, use momentum and flow. And tip number 10, trust your feet, run with confidence, and enjoy yourself. Okay friends, that's gonna wrap up this Mountain High Adventures episode. Thanks again for joining us here on YouTube. Many more adventures to come, and I'm out!